Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Faith and Fandom Feedback Friday, as we are going through the little bit of news to discuss on this Friday morning, February 9th, 2024. And as always, if I am your local source for news, you should probably find better sources for news, but I'm glad that you chose to join in for this time. And thanks so much. We are live on Facebook, as well as recording to the podcast channel. If I should mute myself over here as well. And so in this portion, if you are on Facebook Live while recording this, feel free to comment and I will do my best to interact through that process. But yeah, thanks so much for joining with me. And here we go. Whew. Happy early morning though, by the way, because it's not even 7 o'clock yet and getting started on this. Um, it's been a big week for wrestling nerds of stuff going on in terms of what's happening leading up to WrestleMania and post Royal Rumble status. And some of the big stuff that's been happening has been uh what's going on with Cody Rhodes. And I'll say this, um, in terms of marketing and writing and stuff, the wrestling world has dramatically improved in storytelling since I was a kid. There are well-crafted storylines and adventures that are taking place in this, and they're very good at writing things that don't immediately satisfy. And so they can build the weight. They can give you anticipation, actually do that stuff. And kudos to that because good storytelling is important and I'm grateful for it. But on that note, Cody Rhodes has been on his long quest to finish the story, like since he came into the Royal Rumble and everything a couple years back. It feels like a couple years back. I don't even know how long it's been. But during that process, they've set it up where he had an actual choice between choosing to fight Seth Rollins or fighting Roman Reigns. And honestly, making there be a choice in the process and putting the competition in it in general has been just a good storytelling element. And beyond that, the Road to WrestleMania kickoff event press conference. Hey, Stephen, good morning. Took place in Las Vegas last night, and one of the storytelling elements they did was uh, they finally had Cody Rhodes choose Roman Reigns, but in the process insult the bloodline, which is the Rock's bloodline. So the Rock slapped Cody Rhodes, and it was cute. I was like, The Rock's a big old man and he slapped somebody, not like punched, not people's elbowed, slap. Um, like a Princess Peach move on Mario RPG. And yeah, but I think they're setting up an even bigger thing, possibly a Roman Reigns, Cody Rhodes, Seth Rollins, The Rock match at WrestleMania. I don't care. It's just fun storytelling. Um, One thing I will say that I am disappointed with, and many other people on the intranets that care about such things were disappointed with, is that even though Bailey is also a Royal Rumble winner and a longtime WWE uh, workhorse, is that she was left off of the promotional materials for WrestleMania and for the kickoff event for the Road to WrestleMania. And even though Bianca Belair, who is not in the event to this moment, uh, was on the poster, even though she's not in it. But Bailey, who won the Royal Rumble, uh, was commenting on several sources from podcasts to social media that she truly was hurt to be left off of that. And um, Bailey is wonderful, and I enjoyed Bailey from the first match I saw her, which was not long ago because literally, I just got into wrestling when my youngest daughter got involved, but either way, there was some hurt feelings with that. But that's wrestling. I'm not going to spend the whole morning on that. But it's been entertaining. And I honestly am not somebody that watches like the shows in between like SmackDown and Raw. I don't have time to sit down and consume that much. but I get most of my wrestling content through a TikTok feed, and I appreciate that. I do watch the PLE events, but it's nice just to have little TikTok bursts, and I think they're good with the marketing of that as well. The Grammys happened recently, within the last week, and during the Grammys, there was business as usual for a lot of things. SZA, if I say her name right, SZA, was nominated for a potential album of the year. And by the crazy metric, it's been 25 years since a African American woman won Best Album of the Year, but it did not go to her. It ended up going to Taylor Swift for Midnights. And I'll say this, I am not the most bleed diehard Taylor Swift fan, but I'm not sure that Midnights deserve Best Album of the Year compared to other albums that are out there. Now, have I listened to Caesar's album? Absolutely not. Um, but I also know that Midnight's is not my favorite Taylor Swift album. I digress. But there was many people that were upset that Taylor won when Caesar didn't, and people are always upset when you win awards. And I stand by this. Scripturally speaking, the Bible tells us to rejoice with those who rejoice, mourn for those who mourn. So if you can be sad Caesar didn't win an album, you should also be able at the same time to rejoice that Taylor did. So you need to be able to ride that line, and root and mourn for people in their process. But some other Grammys news: Lecrae won 2 Grammys for the album Church Clothes, 4, and for Best Rap Performance and Best Christian Album. Maybe just Best Christian Hip Hop Album. I don't remember, but either way, he won 2 Grammys. What's kind of crazy is so many people worked on Church Clothes 4 that 100 different people got Grammys because of that album. So everybody that had a feature, everybody that was a producer, everybody that was involved in it got an individual statue for that. So Andy Mineo got a Grammy. All the people that were featured on it got a Grammy. And so I think that's a cool opportunity for them. My favorite Grammy news is that Killer Mike, uh, who, if you are familiar with the latter works of Outkast or the show Ozark, that would probably be your best introduction to Killer Mike if you aren't just in the more guttural hip hop scene of Atlanta. Um, that Killer Mike won 3 Grammys, including Best Rap Album of the Year. He beat Toby Nwigwe for Best Rap Album of the Year. Now, I I know, rejoice for those who rejoice, mourn for those who mourn. I feel like listening to Killer Mike's album, probably the censored version, um, just because he won Album of the Year, and I haven't heard anything from Killer Mike since Outkast. Um, but like he's the guy that's on the Whole World track with Outkast, um, and a lot of other really good Outkast tracks. So I like Outkast. But Killer Mike won 3 Grammys, but then got arrested. He left the Grammys in handcuffs because somewhere when he went backstage, he got in a beef with a security and ended up running down the street, being chased in the rain, and like a whole dramatic John Woo scene, and ended up in cuffs by the time of it. Now, he's out, obviously, and says that he is very clear and confident that everything will be cleared up, and he had a good night by the end of it. But it's just kind of crazy. You win 3 Grammys for Best Hip Hop Album, then get arrested. I think that's the most hip hop thing you can do. And, if you're not getting arrested after winning 3 Grammys, what are you doing? So, Taylor, your move. Next Grammys, I expect you to throw blows or something. Um, so that's kind of a cool thing. In terms of some nerd marketing and entertainment news, Randall Park, who, if you may know him as the Marvel agent from uh, WandaVision and Ant-Man, you may know him as the scientist in Aquaman 2. And if you do, I'm sorry. You may know him from like Crazy Rich Asians and several other things. The Interview, where he played Kim Jong-un. But a lot of people, especially sitcom people, know him as Asian Jim, which was a cold open where Randall Park pretended to be Jim Halpert and caused Dwight Schrute to have an aneurysm. For the upcoming movie If, which is written and directed by John Krasinski, uh, they did a whole thing this past week, where they brought Randall Park back in to be John Krasinski, for a promotion for If, including having him reshoot things from previous trailers and behind the scenes stuff to do it to the point where John Krasinski changed his profile photo to Randall Park. And it's just good office humor, and I appreciate office humor. The Office, not office humor. I actually work in an office now, and I don't enjoy that humor, but I do enjoy the office humor, and that's important. But yeah, that's just been pretty cool. Another really neat thing is Sam Raimi, the director of Spider-Man 1, 2, and the Evil Dead franchise and Darkman, is going to be at GalaxyCon Raleigh. That's a big deal. That's not an actor, that's a director, that's a writer. That's a man who's responsible for 25% of the nerd content for the previous 30 years of my life. The man who directed Multiverse of Madness. Um, the guy who's responsible for a whole genre of horror and comedy is going to be at GalaxyCon Raleigh. That's like them having Kevin Smith, but honestly a little bit bigger. Um, and that's just pretty cool. And like them getting an actor is one thing. Bringing big directors to cons, that's impressive to me. So Sam Raimi is coming to GalaxyCon Raleigh. I'm not going to have time nor money to go see him. I'm not even going to be on the same floor as him. I'm going to be 4 floors above him in Artist Alley, but I'm excited that he's going to be there. Um, on that note as well, there is an Evil Dead spinoff coming. The last year before, somewhere in there was a independent, not independent, but a branch off of the Evil Dead franchise called Evil Dead Rise, and that did well. And there's a new movie coming following that up, so that is coming. Um, in some more sad news, Carl Weathers, who most of the world knows as Apollo Creed, or if you're a Mandalorian fan, he was Grief Karga, or if you are Happy Gilmore, he's Chubbs. He passed away this past week. Also, Toby Keith, the country music legend, I think is an accurate description. He's not like my favorite or anything, but he definitely left his mark. Both passed away this week. And on that note, last week my grandmother passed away, and that's uh an odd bit of trivia that's going to live in my brain for the rest of my life, that Carl Weathers and my grandmother died on the same day. Um, that's a thing that's happened. Back to Taylor Swift for a moment. She had announced at the Grammys after winning her bajillionth award that her next studio album is going to drop soon. It's called The Tortured Poets Department, which appears to be a nod to the group chat of her ex-boyfriend. Surprise, surprise. Um, but all I can picture is the Dead Poet Society every time I read that, and I don't think that's changing. Also, uh, Taylor is her big blockbuster movie release of her concert tour, the Eras Tour, will begin streaming on Disney Plus in March. So the Eras Tour is coming to Disney Plus in March. On Disney related news, Gina Carano, who you probably know as Cara Dune, or she was the beefy lady in Deadpool 1. She's also been in some weird intranet movies since then, is now suing Disney for wrongful termination. Cara Dune, yeah. And did you hear me say that Eras Tour is coming to Disney Plus in March? Oh, fine, whatever, dude. My Swiftie is in the corner eating a waffle. Yeah, but making sure she knew. Um, but yeah, Gina Carano is suing Disney for wrongful termination. Um, I listen, I don't know how often people sue Disney and walk away, but cool, whatever. Um, on a Disney related note, another sad Disney related note, and one that probably won't get a ton of press, is that they are currently filming a TV series called Wonder Man. If you don't know who Wonder Man is, you're with the rest of most of the world. But Wonder Man is a Marvel pseudo superhero. He's usually a background character in larger Avengers type things. This is another thing of them giving a almost D-list character more of a shine, They're filming a Wonder Man series, and a crew member was killed while filming the Wonder Man series. And there was a brief announcement, but not a lot past that. But I always think it's sad when we lose people in things like that. Um, and then also Rob Liefeld, one of the creators of Deadpool, is officially retiring from doing Deadpool uh after 33 years of the character's creation. So he will no longer write, draw, whatever Deadpool, which we're grateful, because if you've ever seen him draw Deadpool's feet, um, we're not missing anything on that front. Past that, it's an interesting story with that. Disney also had, a big summit of announcing all of their stuff. So we officially have a release date for Moana 2, which is in November of this year. We have a release year for Frozen 3, which is 2026. Toy Story 5 is coming. Zootopia 2 is coming in 2025. And Mando and Grogu comes to theaters in 2026 as a movie, which will probably finish off the Mandalorian storyline. Um, Rose is just making eyeballs at me as she's learning things. What's funny about the Moana sequel is that was originally written to be a TV series follow-up, much like Tangled had a follow-up, much like Big Hero 6 had a follow-up in terms of TV series that didn't go directly to sequels. But I think with the hype of Moana and probably the threatening of Dwayne Johnson, we're getting a animated sequel to Moana coming up this year. Percy Jackson has been renewed for a second season, which is good news to people that enjoy Percy Jackson. They also paid tribute at the end of the season to the late Lance Reddick in it as well. And Disney, on that same note, still hovering around them. There's a lot of Disney news this week. Invested 1.5 billion, and that's, as my movie Elizabethtown quoted, that's billion with a B. $1.5 billion into Epic Games, Fortnite, to expand Fortnite to being a fully functioning multiverse world in gaming. That's big news for Fortnite players. That's big news for Disney. That's also big news for North Carolina, which is where I live, because Fortnite, Epic Games, is an hour and a half from here and in Cary, North Carolina. And good news for North Carolina, good news for the world. If you like pew pewing, you're going to be able to pew pew at more pew pews than you've ever pew pewed before. That's also a thing. I'm not a Fortniter per se. I am happy for people that enjoy it. Also, Spy Family is dropping a movie, a theatrical release, where the Forager family all goes on vacation together in a snowy climate, and shenanigans ensue. So if you enjoy the world of Spy Family, a nice little anime you don't have to totally emotionally invest in because it's just cute shenanigans with nice themes, Spy Family's movie is coming this April. And then for new nerds to make weebs cry, um, Sony slash Funimation and Crunchyroll are collapsing the world of anime and anime purchasing. If you have previously purchased Funimation works where you've bought digital content of animes through Funimation, Crunchyroll and Sony are no longer going to support the purchases you've made. So the digital purchases you've made of Funimation, you don't own anymore. And then everybody can just be angry in subtitles at the bottom real quick. But you don't own that anymore, and that's going to be hard for you to stream. And they're saying you can still enjoy our vast variety of stuff, but that's one of the problems of buying digital content is people can take it away, which is something I've been raging against for Amazon Music for the last year and a half to 2 years, is them taking back the music I've bought digitally. Hurts my feelings. That being said, before we wrap up here today, Knuckles gets its own show on Paramount Plus starting in April. A sequel show to the Sonic the Hedgehog movie series, which also will have Sonic the Hedgehog voicing as well. But Idris Elba is back voicing Knuckles for this series, which is pretty cool. There's also been a really cool catastrophe surrounding the popcorn bucket for Dune 2. Take a moment, pull out your phone, Google Dune 2 popcorn bucket because it's obscene and gross. And there's whole reaction videos of people sticking their hands in it and how inappropriate the thing looks. And people are already losing their ish about how odd this popcorn bucket is as terms of a life choice. Um, so check that out for your own general amusement. Um, on traumatizing subjects, Kamal Nanjiani, if I said his name correctly, forgive me if I didn't, who is a comedian slash actor, but someone who also got a lot of notoriety for becoming incredibly buff for the Eternals film, has recently opened up to the fact that he is now entered or has been entered into counseling just for the trauma that came from being in the Eternals, um, from the negative box office press to the online hate to the stuff that they've received on the tour for promoting the Eternals. Um, that he's entered counseling just for that. So before you go pooping on an artist, a movie, anything like that, just because you don't like it, because listen, I didn't like the Eternals, but I didn't want to put that man in counseling either. Be nice to people. World is hard, and we don't need to hurt people in that capacity. If you are a Spider-Man player, for Spider-Man 2, March 7th, you're getting updates for in terms of costumes, downloads, and storylines. And in Christian entertainment news, beyond all that, Rob Schneider, famed comedian slash SNL host or cast member slash you can do it like that guy. Rob Schneider has officially returned to a relationship with Jesus Christ, in terms of his life. And there's interviews about it. You're probably not going to see it all over the place, but I saw it on two different sources where basically he says Jesus got a hold of him, that he's been straying for a while, and that he is returning to a more dedicated, devout walk with Jesus as his savior. And he said it's basically like Jesus came up and like bear hugged him and brought him back. So if you actually want to read an interview on that, Rob Schneider has has done some public discussion about this, and it's pretty cool to see him come to terms publicly about his faith in that capacity. So I think that's pretty neat. Um, Faith and fandom news. Just to let you know, book 9 is out. Thank you to everybody that has been purchasing it online. I would show you a copy, but literally, someone bought my test copy off of me and on a road trip. Seth, I hope you enjoy the book. But if you want to get book 9, it out is out and available. The comic book that I've been working on forever, Flockward, Awkward Tales of Christians, or yeah, is in print coming soon. And I've actually had stickers made of the cover art, and the first 25 people to purchase the comic book will get a sticker with it. But I'll have announcements of when those are available soon. And before I bounce, I want to take a moment to thank our Patreon supporters. Jamie Montgomery, Matthew Coleman, Jonathan Herman, Ron Petit, Tesh Norton, Scott Ward, Alicia Benson, Candace Davis, Jay Sheed, Jillian, Jason Crutchfield, Mike Perna, Todd Turner, Jonathan Jacobs, Zach Harris, Caleb Grimm, Jeanette Skaggs, Chris Poirier, Jason Bullock, Christina Ray, Sarah Lewis, Patrick Gale, Rebecca Godlove, and Adam Davis. That's a mouthful, y'all. I'm grateful for every one of you for supporting Faith and Fandom in all the ways that you do. You make everything we do possible. And I hope y'all have a fantastic Friday morning as we're heading into this weekend. We are now like 2 weeks from our first Comic Con of the year. I'm pumped. I'm getting excited for it. Um, yeah, I have to get up early. I have an office job now, and I have to take my kids to school. Sorry, Todd. But we're gonna be on it. But I hope y'all have a great Friday morning. And we will talk again soon. Y'all, God bless you. Have a great day, and I hope to see you at a con soon. Bye, y'all.